welcome to my pitch for my idea for a new app for a cell phone or a new website, either way, or both. So, it would be called Mill Spouse Mingle. I am open to new names, but that is what has had the most popularity among the people that I used during my survey. So essentially what this app would do is it would be centered around military bases and military families. It would be able to track which base you're at, have specific profiles to help keep like-minded individuals in groups and with people that they will get along with in the new towns that they're in. It'll also include interests, family size, a little bit of background on each person, recommendations for local businesses, as well as housing in the areas that are around the military bases. I kind of came up with this idea because myself, am a new military spouse. My husband and I have been married for almost 2 years now, and this is my first duty station here at Fort Bragg, and coming here from Texas. It's the first time I've been away from family, first time I've been away from people that I grew up with, well, as far as long periods of time away from them. Luckily, I do actually happen to have an uncle that lives a few hours away from me, so that was nice to kind of acclimate to North Carolina. However, as far as the things that are happening on the military bases, I was told to attend one FRG meeting. For those of you that aren't military affiliated, FRG stands for Family Readiness Groups. And at that single FRG meeting that I was told to go to over a year ago, I met absolutely nobody that has a husband that actually works with my spouse. And I just noticed that there was a need for a way for military families to meet new people in each town, because obviously for the spouse that's in the service themselves, it's a lot easier for them. They're around people in their company, their battalion, the people they work with or go to training camps with, so they meet those friends. And as far as for people like me, a military wife in a completely new state, thousands of miles away from family and friends, I just think that something like this would be beneficial to all military bases. I mean, for Army spouses and Navy spouses, they can be stationed across the globe. There are bases in Germany, in Italy, Japan, Korea, everywhere, as well as across the United States. And for this app, one of my survey questions was whether or not people would be willing to pay for it, a small charge, like one of those 99-cent apps that you see on the App Store. And I got a heavier mixed reviews, we'll say that. There were more people that said yes, they would be willing to pay for it than there was that said no, but there was also quite a few that were right there in the middle who said it would depend on, the features of the application and all of that. As far as expenses to get this project off the ground, I did estimate that it would be around the $5,000 to $10,000 range, depending on the people we got to write the code for the app, as well as building the app itself, and as well as using some of that money for marketing to get the word out about the app. So who would this app be geared toward? Military families of all kinds. Any of the dependents necessarily, because as I said, the service members themselves have a relatively easy way of making friends and making connections in these new towns they go to. As far as spouses and kids and relatives that may or may not live with them, it would be a lot easier, because for spouses like me, we could make new friends as well as find connections and have people to help you when things go wrong. For the kids, if they're in school but not quite, meshing with any certain group in the school that they're actually in, they could maybe find kids that are in a school across town that they get along with better, and they can make those decent connections to make the move easier. And as far as relatives go, I know my husband's mother would probably use this app to keep up with the things that are going on around his company, the trainings that they're going to be going on, the special events that they're putting on, that kind of thing. Let's see. And so where would we send this app to be marketed to? The easiest, most obvious places would be military bases in the towns surrounding those bases. Another great option would be to actually have things in recruitment offices themselves. They would be great at the FRG meetings to pass out as soon as these family members are onto base and registered and ready to go. They could get a pamphlet or a leaflet or something talking about the app itself, and it would get the word spread around a lot faster because, as I said, the FRG meeting was the very first thing that I was told to do after registering as a spouse on Bragg here. We could also do it at large-scale events, have a booth at like the 4th of July celebrations, the toy drops for the airborne community, as well as, like I said, recruiting offices, because I know a lot of people who have been to recruiting offices with their families tagging along to kind of see what things would pan out for them. And I think it'd be a lot easier for people who were married before the service to know that there is something to help them get acclimated to being a military spouse, because it is not the same as being a normal spouse, and there are different challenges that are faced, as well as getting used to the distance and not being able to see your significant other as much as you may be used to. When should we start producing this application? Now. There is immediate need for it. There is nothing else like it other than the FRG meetings that I've spoken about. And so this would be something that as soon as it was completed and out on the market, I think would have an overwhelming amount of people who came out to purchase the app or download it or visit the website. There are thousands of families on every military base throughout the country. So the market itself is very large. It may seem limited to some because it is just military affiliated, but as I said, there's nothing like this on the market at the moment. There is no way for people like me who have busy lives, who have school and work and a home to take care of, to just go out and make friends. I'm not exactly an introvert, but I'm not exactly an extrovert either. So I am not one of those people who are going to just walk up to some random group of people at a restaurant and be like, hey, you look familiar. Would you like to be friends with me today? So this would be something for the people like me who are looking for an easier way to make friends in these new towns. 4 of the major questions that I asked on my survey was obviously number 1, would people use it? Overwhelmingly, I got a 70% yes rate. The single no that I got was someone who is about to be out of the military life, and she was not overly thrilled with being in the military life to begin with, so she was kind of, one of the outliers, but you need those for every survey. The second question is whether or not people would pay for it. As I said, there were mixed reviews. We got lots of yes, no's, and maybes, but the yeses did win out, so there is definitely people who would be willing to pay that 99-cent fee for the application. Another one of the major questions I asked is whether or not to be branch specific. Again, that was kind of half and half. I did interview people who are affiliated with all of the service branches. I know a lot of the Air Force wives preferred it to be strictly Air Force, due to the fact that I guess their branch is a little bit different than all of the others. The Army spouses were a little more open because a lot of times there are other folks on Army bases for training or anything else like that. And as far as Navy, National Guard, and the Marines, they were all pretty open to it as well. And the fourth and final most important question that I asked is whether or not people would recommend it to their FRG leaders if it was out there. And for it to be in the FRG program itself would be a huge help as far as marketing goes. Because as I said, FRG is the first people you meet when you come to every new military installation. I don't know if it's called FRG across all of the branches, but each branch has something similar. And so, as I said, this would be a great application for military spouses and military families. And that is Mil Spouse Mingle. Thank you so much for listening to my pitch today. I hope you have a great day.